Good afternoon. This is Harrison Rood with ICF International. I want to welcome you to the HUD Office of Sustainable Housing and Communities Flagship Indicators Back to Basics webinar. Next slide, please. On the welcome slide, we're going to, in terms of mechanics, we don't have a live thing through your webinar technology to flag the questions, so we ask you to please send the emails to ask questions during the webinar. That should go to the regular OSC address, which is sustainablecommunities@hud.gov. That's SUSTAINABLECOMMUNITIES@HUD.gov. We'll pass the questions on to the presenters. The webinar, like many of them, will be archived on the Learning Network website. You'll get an email when that is up with the link. And then there's several other resources referred to during the webinar, which will be available via both the Learning Network and the OSHC website under resources. And I would like to ask folks, you are, and apologies if we weren't very clear with the directions on this, you are supposed to be calling in on the computer version. If you accidentally dialed into this line, please stay on mute. Thank you very much. Moving through the introduction to what we'll cover in this presentation slide. And by the way, I should note that you will hear us saying next a few times. The presenters don't have control of this so that we can record the webinar and you can watch it later. So we'll be moving forward through the slides. What we're going to cover in this presentation first is the purpose and overview of the Flagship Sustainability Indicators, a few key differences between Flagship Sustainability Indicators and other performance measures, and then some resources available to grantees. Again, when I'm done, we'll have any questions that pop up in this 10-minute intro, and that Elliot Rose will cover most of the technical back to basics, walking through many of the issues that some of you have had with the indicators. And so that'll be a technical presentation that'll cover most of this time. Next slide. So what is performance measurement in the Sustainable Communities Initiative, and why are we measuring performance? First is to demonstrate the impacts of your work in the field and identify best practices among what you're doing. Eventually, to try and develop a common framework for measuring progress towards sustainable communities across all grantees. And then third, to offer some help to empower communities and you folks in the field to track progress against your own individual sustainability goals. Next. There's really two types of performance measures in the initiative, that you, the grantees, are asked to track. The first is planning outcomes, what actually happens as a result of your work, and the second is the Flagship Sustainability Indicators. This presentation is focused entirely on helping you to track and record and report on those Flagship Sustainability Indicators. I should mention, actually, before we go on to the next slide, that the planning outcomes are generally tracked through the eLogic model, a separate reporting system as well. So in terms of the overview, next slide, of the Flagship Sustainability Indicators, there's 8 of them across 5 categories of outcomes: in transportation choice, housing affordability, equitable development, economic resilience, and growth through reinvestment. We're mostly going to focus on a couple of these today to really go in depth, and then have some discussion about a couple more of them that folks have been having particular trouble with. The purpose of those 8 indicators across the 5 areas is next slide, please, is to develop a common national framework for measuring long-term progress towards sustainable communities. They're all quantitative measures in the 5 categories of outcomes, and there's several key difference between the Flagship indicators and planning outcomes. Next slide. I've got a chart in front of you here. The indicators measure long-term changes in community conditions related to sustainability. The planning outcomes measure progress towards short-term and more medium-term goals related to the planning process, the actual activities that you're undertaking. The indicators tend to be common to all grantees. The planning outcomes each of you selected at the beginning of your process. The Flagship Sustainability Indicators are reported by you through this form's SF-PPR-A. Your self-selected planning outcomes are reported through the eLogic model. The folks on this call providing technical assistance to you, that's available through our email address at oshchehelp@icfi.com. That's the way that you reach those of us on the call that are helping you with individual issues related to the indicators. For the planning outcomes, technical assistance is available through your GTR. You can also email us to help connect you with some other appropriate resources for help. Next slide. We have discovered some challenges in both developing the indicators and working with you to implement them. Sustainability is a pretty broad term. There's lots of different data sources, tools, areas of expertise, and most importantly, each of you, your organization, varies widely across the nation, both in terms of scale. Some of you are neighborhood level, to regional level, to state level, and your individual technical capacity of both the sort of host grantee organization as well as your many partners. Next slide. There are other resources available through the Sustainable Communities Learning Network, so you're not limited to just getting help from us. There is a performance measures and Flagship Sustainability Indicators resource page. The web link is there, and I'm not going to read it out to you, but most of you are aware of the learning network itself. There's step-by-step instructions or fact sheets. Those are recently updated based on many of the questions that we've received from many of you working on these together. Some answers to several grantee facts for frequently asked questions. And I think Elliot has really built the second half of this presentation, the technical results based on very frequent questions we've had. Many of you are bumping into the same problems. There's in-depth guidance on each of the specific indicators. There's a couple other spreadsheet calculation tools so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. We've done a little bit of the lifting for you and setting up some spreadsheets to make it easier. There's archived webinars, and then there's guidance on actually reporting the indicators through that SF-PPR-A form. Next slide. At the OSHC Help Desk, again, there's that email address you can click on again. It's maintained by us here at ICF with support from Summit. It's focused on Flagship Sustainability Indicators, but we can also help connect you with other resources related to your other questions. We've had a little over 60 questions from 29 grantees so far, and as I mentioned before, those questions are really the basis for the Back to Basics webinar we're discussing today. If you have a question, don't feel shy. The odds are that somebody else does too. Next slide. So just a quick outline of what Elliot is going to walk through, primarily technical guidance on calculating the indicators. He's got it in 3 sections, and I think we're going to ask questions after each one of these, but make a note if you have questions as you go through. We're going to walk through indicators 2.1 and 3.1. Those are ones that several people have had issues in calculating. We'll walk through answers to some of the other facts submitted to the help desk, and then talk about some of the key issues for the different kinds of grantee groups, the different scales that you're working at, and then talk just a little bit at the end about how to report the results using the form SF-PPR-A. And I would like to just see if there's any questions that we've received. I'm going to pause and look at my own email and see if we've got anything forwarded, and ask HUD or Janine if we have received any email questions yet. If not, we're going to pass this over to Elliot Rose for the next section. Okay, Elliot, why don't you take over? No questions.
All right. Yeah, I don't see any questions coming through. Thanks, Harrison. Welcome to our Back to Basics webinar on the Flagship Sustainability Indicators, everyone. Before I get started, I just wanted to restate a couple of things in case we've had anyone joining us a little late. First of all, the call-in number that was provided, for this webinar was just for presenters. So if you're a grantee and you called in, we ask you to please listen through the website and just mute your phone line. And the second is that if you have any questions about what I'm saying while I'm talking, please email them to Sustainable Communities, that's SUSTAINABLE, @HUD.gov, HUD.gov. Next slide, please. So just to recap what Harrison just said about the Flagship Sustainability Indicators, the purpose of these indicators is to develop a common national framework for measuring long-term progress towards sustainable communities. There are 8 indicators in 5 categories of outcomes. You report them using Form SF-PPR-A. And most importantly, we've updated the fact sheets that provide detailed instructions on calculating these indicators. And those updated fact sheets are available both through the OSHC website and through the Sustainable Communities Learning Network. These fact sheets detail the process for collecting data and calculating each indicator, and we've updated them to address a lot of the questions that we've got from grantees in the first round of technical assistance. Next slide, please. So what I'm going to cover in this section, first I'm going to give you some step-by-step guidance and walk you through calculating 2 of the Flagship Sustainability Indicators. Indicator 2.1, Housing Affordability, and Indicator 3.1 on Equitable Development. The purpose of this section of the presentation will be to provide some context, particularly for those of you who may not be as far along in calculating these indicators or may need a little refresher. And then in the second part of this presentation, I'll be covering the answers to some commonly asked questions from grantees about key issues with the tools and data that are used in the Flagship Sustainability Indicators. This is to give those of you who may not be as far along the way in calculating some of these indicators a leg up on dealing with some of the common challenges based on what we've heard so far, and to answer some questions that you may have but you may not have had a chance to ask us yet. I'm going to cover, CPD Maps, the Housing and Transportation Affordability Index, GIS, and the National Land Cover Database data. And I want to emphasize that these FAQs, all of them come from people contacting us at OSHC Help at ICFI.com. The questions we've received so far have been immensely helpful to us in crafting responses, because it's pretty likely that if one grantee is having an issue, another grantee has the same question. So I really want to encourage you that if you have any questions along the way as you're calculating these indicators, to please do email us at OSHCHelp at ICFI.com. Next slide, please. So one of the main things that we've heard from grantees so far is that different groups of grantees are facing different challenges when they're reporting these indicators. So for regional planning grantees that have large project areas, there's often many of these grantees cover entire metropolitan areas or even an entire state, and as a result, there's a lot of data to collect, and they also have a mix of urban and rural areas, which can be an issue because you calculate some indicators differently for urban and rural areas. Grantees that are working on projects in rural areas often face a lack of available data. Planning agencies that don't have as many staff or may not have access to some of the tools that are required to calculate these indicators. And then project areas with multiple geographies. This is a little bit hard to state, but basically it's grantees that have project areas that don't fit neatly into the geographies that the census uses to present a lot of the data that you need to calculate these indicators. And these grantees often have questions about which geographies or which data sources they should be using. So as I go through this presentation, I'm going to flag, and you'll see text in bold on the slides, specific issues that we've heard from each of these 3 groups. Next slide, please. On this side, you'll see a table showing an overview of which indicators are challenging for which grantees. The purpose of this slide is just to give you a heads up if you fall into one of these three groups: regional planning grantees, grantees working in rural areas, or grantees with a project that doesn't neatly conform to census geographies. The indicators...
Elliot?
Yes, Harrison.
Harrison, I'm butting in because we're not on the regular communicate between presenters. We have had a couple of notes from people that the advancing the slides, which we're not doing, is maybe lagging a little behind when we're speaking. So if you could, like you just did at the top, say, you know, which slide you're on, which indicators are challenging, let's try and do that, and then maybe tell the folks at the control system to move the slide ahead just a little bit before you're done. Okay, great. Thanks, Harrison. So we're on the slide, which indicators are challenging and for which grantees. You'll see if you're in one of these three categories, you may look through this in advance, and if you see a red X next to a given indicator, that's a sign to you that that indicator may be challenging for you to calculate. And that's not to necessarily say that you won't be able to calculate it, but that you may want to pay close attention to the fact sheets and be in touch with us at OSHC Help at icfi.com if you do run into any questions. Next slide, please. So we're on walkthroughs of indicators 2.1 and 3.1. Again, the purpose of these walkthroughs is just to provide grantees who haven't looked at these performance measures in a while with a notion of what they entail, and set the background for some of the frequently asked questions that I'll be discussing in the following section. Next slide, please. Indicator 2.1, zoom in on project area as a slide, and I'm going to be for this in the coming slides, I'm going to be walking you through calculating indicator 2.1, which describes the percentage of housing units that are affordable to low to moderate income households. As I go through this indicator, I'm going to be using the sample project area Palatine, Illinois, simply because it's where my mom grew up, and walking you through steps using that as an example to collect the data for this indicator and calculate it. So the first thing that you would do is you would go to the CPD Maps website. CPD Maps, which I'll discuss in a little bit more depth, is a new website created by HUD. It's really helpful and has a lot of great data for HUD grantees and just planners in general to look at a variety of performance indicators and data about their communities. When you get to this website, a Guide Me window will pop up. You want to close that and then use the map tools, which should be familiar to those of you who have used a web-based mapping service such as Google Maps before, to zoom in on your project area. Next slide, please. After that, you need to select the report geography. And so there are many things you can do with CPD Maps. You can view maps or you can download reports. For indicator 2.1, we're going to download a report. So you click on the reports icon on the toolbar at the top of the screen. By the way, you'll see in this slide that reports is in blue, and then there's a blue box around that icon. And then use the target jurisdiction drop-down. In the target jurisdiction drop-down menu that you'll see when the reports box pops up, which I've highlighted in green, you'll select a geography. This is a census geography, like place if you're looking at a city, county, census tract. Next slide, please. So once you've selected your target jurisdiction, you use the drawing controls in the window, and those are all those different tools that I've highlighted with the blue box, to actually select the project area on the map. In this example, I'm going to use the point, which is the furthest tool on the left, but the square and the circle are useful for selecting multiple geographies. I'll discuss that in a little bit more depth later in the presentation. So what I would do actually here is
and you can move on to the next slide, I would click on the point icon. At this point, the reports box would disappear, and I would see the map. And then I would select the report geography in the next slide, but I would use that. I would use the point. I would click on the geography that I'd like to view a report for on the map. Once you select that geography, it's going to appear highlighted in turquoise. Next slide, we should be on indicator 2.1. Select the report geography, and you'll see, and step 8 will be at the top of the slide. So once I select the project area and it appears highlighted in turquoise, the report windows will pop back up. At this point, you can use the drawing tools to further add and the add to selection or remove from selection buttons to adjust your selection. So if you just selected one tract and you also want to get the next the tract next door, you would click add to selection and then use the point tool to click in that tract, and you would see them both highlighted then. If you selected multiple tracts and you wanted to remove from, you'd use remove from selection and do the same. Once you have the correct geography selected, you'll be able to know this because the text box below those drawing tools that I've highlighted in blue will list the tracts or counties or geographies that you've selected, so you can use those to verify. Once you verify that you have the correct geography selected, you should click on the next button, which I've highlighted in green, and we're going to move on to the next slide, which is indicator 2.1, obtain data for the report. So once you click next, you'll get a screen. The next screen that comes up will ask you if you want to include reference data. That's just a screen. That's just a screen you can skip by clicking the next button again. And you'll see at that point you'll see what I have on the screen. This is the reports window will ask you to please choose the types of information you want included in the report. For indicator 2.1, we're really interested in housing supply. When this window pops up, automatically all data is checked, and in order to kind of streamline your report and make it so you don't have a bunch of data to wade through, you should click on the uncheck all button first that's highlighted in blue, and then just click the checkbox next to housing supply that's highlighted in green. And once you click on that box, you'll see the various subcategories of data for housing supply will also automatically get checked. And then click the Finish button in the lower right-hand corner. I've highlighted that in turquoise. At that point, your browser will download an Excel file with the report. This report often comes up and downloads in a new window. So if you do click on Finish and you're not seeing a report come up, it could be because you have blocked pop-ups. You'll need to enable pop-ups for this website in order to view the report. Next slide, please. We're on indicator 2.1, basic calculation steps. Once you download the spreadsheet, you'll see a spreadsheet with multiple tabs, and you want to click on the housing supply tab. At that point, you'll see a lot of tables with information. The two most important ones are the ones that I've included pictures of. There's units affordable to households earning, and there's number of occupied housing units by tenure in the presence of selected housing conditions. So the first thing you do is collect the number of rental housing units from the units affordable to households earning by the total number of rental households that's from that second table. These two tables are located right next to each other. I believe they're the last two tables in the spreadsheet. And then you do the same with owner-occupied housing. You divide the number of owner-occupied housing units affordable to households earning 80% of the area median family income by the total number of owner-occupied housing units. After you're done with that, you have your results. You report two results for this indicator, one for owner-occupied units and one for rental housing units. Next slide. So we're going to move on to indicator 3.1, which measures the combined housing and transportation affordability in your project area. So it should be on indicator 3.1, select project area. Again, to begin this, you go to the website of the Center for Neighborhood Technology, which maintains the Housing and Transportation Affordability Index. There's a link to it on the slide. And you use the search bar, which I've highlighted in orange, to enter in your project area. Often when you do this, you'll see a menu. As you enter text, you'll see choices pop up for you with areas that the tool knows that it has on the map. So again, I've entered Palatine, Illinois, and you click Find. And automatically when you do that, the map, next slide, we're on indicator 3.1, select project area, step 3. Once I enter a project area, the map will automatically, or enter geography, the map will automatically zoom to that geography. The way that the Housing and Transportation Index is set up, it shows two maps, one on the left, which is housing costs as a percentage of income, and one on the right, which is housing and transportation costs as a percentage of income. And so we're going to focus on the map on the right. That has the data we need. We want housing and transportation costs as a percentage of income. A pop-up window should automatically, which I've highlighted in orange, should automatically pop up that displays the combined housing and transportation costs as a percentage of income by block group, by the metropolitan area, and then by places, often both counties or city, often counties or cities that the area is located within. Which one of these numbers you want to collect will depend on the geography for your project area. If you don't see this pop-up window, just click anywhere inside the project area on your map, and it should pop up. If this two-map view is confusing for you, note that there's a button in the upper right-hand corner of the screen labeled Map View that you can click on in order to switch to a view that only shows one map at a time. Next slide. We're on indicator 3.1, multiple geographies. So this is an issue I want to flag for grantees that have a project area that may not conform neatly to one census geography. If your project area does consist of multiple geographies, you'll need to create a weighted average of the housing and transportation costs across all geographies. In order to do this, you go to the Census Fact Finder website. I've included a link on the slide. And then you select the geographies. I've highlighted where you do that in orange that make up your project area. Next slide. There are several different ways to access information. What we're looking to collect is information on the total number of households in each of the geographies which you're collecting data. There are several different ways to access this information. You can search by topics, which I've highlighted in orange, people, and under basic count estimate, you'll see household and family, and that will give you several tables that display the total number of households. You can also just narrow your search by entering B11001. That is a specific table that we know will display the total number of households in the search bar, and click Go, and then you should see that table pop up for your geography. Next slide. By the way, we have a lot more information in the fact sheets on collecting data from FactFinder. I realize I may have glossed through that a little quickly. So if you need more information, please do consult the fact sheets for how to get data from FactFinder. Once you've collected that information on the total number of households from FactFinder, you'll calculate a weighted average as we direct you to do in the spreadsheets. As Harrison mentioned, we have posted on the Sustainable Communities Learning Network site a spreadsheet tool that can enable you, that can help you in calculating a weighted average. And once you've done that, you'll be done with the first part of this indicator, which asks you to report on housing and transportation affordability for your project area as a whole. There's a second component to this indicator that asks you to calculate housing and transportation affordability in low-income block groups. Now, this part is more labor-intensive. because collecting this data actually requires you to point and click in the Housing and Transportation Affordability website on each low-income block group in your project area. So for this region, regional planning grantees, as well as often community challenge grantees that are working at a city scale, anyone with over 6 low mod income tracts in their project area may wish to ask their GTR for a waiver on this one. Otherwise, in order to identify low-income block groups, you go to the CPD Maps website. I've identified that website with a link in step 6 here on the slide. Again, you close that Guide Me window that pops up, and you use the map tools to zoom in on your project area. Next slide. We're on indicator 3.1, ID low-income tracts. That's slide 33 in my deck. So in order to view and identify low-income tracts within your project area using CPD Maps, you click the map selection icon that's in the upper left corner of the screen. Next slide. Once you do that, that map selection window will expand, and there are several different options for what you can display on your map. If you click on Boundaries and then click on Other, you'll see checkboxes for census tracts and low mod census tracts. You want to make sure both of those boxes are checked. Once you do that, next slide, you will see all the census tracts in your area outlined in red, and low mod census tracts will be highlighted in green. You may find it useful to print this map when you get it at the scale that it's working on. Note that if you don't see any data, if you don't see any change in the map when you check these boxes, you may need to zoom in. Next slide. We're on step 13. This is slide 36, ID low mod tracts. You may need, as I said, you may need to zoom in order to see the right census boundaries, census tract boundaries, and the census tract number. You can see in this slide that the census tract I'm zooming in on is 17031803606. And what you want to do is take down the tract numbers for all the low-income tracts. Next slide. Indicator 3.1, a note on tract numbers. So these tract numbers, once you have the numbers of low income or low moderate income census tracts from CPD Maps, then we're going to go look up housing and transportation affordability using the Housing and Transportation Affordability Index website for the block groups within those census tracts. In order to do these crosswalks, it's important to note both of these websites use 11-digit numbers to identify census tracts, where the first 2 digits are the code for the state, the next 3 digits are the code for the county, and the last 6 digits are the number of the tract. So for example, the one I just selected, 17, you can think of it as 17-031-830606. The state code, the first 2 digits are for Illinois. The next 3 digits are for Cook County, and then the last 6 digits are the census tract. I know that many of you know the census boundaries for your project area quite well. So if you're seeing numbers that look confusing to you and through CPD Maps, and they don't quite match up with how you refer to the census tracts in your project area, this may be why. And I put this slide in to help you make that translation. Next slide. We're on indicator 3.1, data for low mod tracts. So you return to CPD Maps, and following the instructions before to zoom in on your project area, you then click on individual block groups located within low-income census tracts. And as you do that, a pop-up window will come up. I've highlighted that window in orange, and the first entry in that pop-up window is always the housing and transportation cost as a percentage of income for the block group. So you just need to click on all of the low-income block groups within your project area that you've identified, all the block groups within low mod income census tracts in your project area that you've identified through CPD Maps, collect the result from the Housing and Transportation Affordability Index, and take those down. Next slide. If you're working with multiple block groups, you'll need to calculate the weighted average of housing and transportation affordability costs across all block groups by the number of households in each block group. Block group level data on the number of households is available via the Census Summary File Retrieval tool. I've included a link to it on this side. Instructions for using this tool are available via both the census website and the fact sheets. And again, we've also posted spreadsheet tools to assist you with calculating weighted averages through the Sustainable Communities Learning Network. Again, note that this indicator is also one for which you report 2 results, and I'll be describing reporting results for these indicators in more depth in the following segment of the presentation. But you report 1 result for your entire project area and 1 for low moderate income areas within your project area. So next slide. This is the second half of the technical presentation, looking at answers to frequently asked questions about tools and data sources. Before I launch into this, I do want to pause and see if we've received any questions via email yet on the slides that I just presented on the walkthroughs of indicators 3.1 or 2.1 and 3.1.
Kelly, this is Harrison. I don't see any. Jane, do we have anything coming through the help desk?
Not at this time.
Okay, great.
Go ahead,
and I'll move into the next part of the presentation. So that walkthrough was just to get you up to speed and remind you, if you haven't looked at them in a while, of what calculating these indicators entails. Next, I'm going to be responding to some of the frequently asked questions from grantees about the different tools and data sources that we use when calculating these indicators. Next slide, please. So we're on FAQs about tools, CPD Maps. CPD Maps is an important new tool that's been developed by HUD. It's a source of data in these indicators for housing affordability and to help you identify low to moderate income census tracts. It includes a lot more data. It's a really great website, and I do encourage you to look around it in the process of gathering data for these indicators. We use it in indicators 2.1, 3.1, and 3.3. Next slide, please. So the first question we've gotten is that some grantees have noticed mismatching geographies. Many grantees use the updated 2010 census boundaries to define their project areas. CPD Maps, because it took a lot to compile, it still uses some previous data from the 2005 to 2009 American Community Survey data, and it uses the 2000 census boundaries that data is based upon. So if you're looking for your project area at CPD Maps, you may notice some discrepancies between the census tracts that you have, or the census boundaries that you know for your project area that you've used to date, and what you see in CPD Maps if those census boundaries in your project area were updated between 2000 and 2010. Another difference is that CPD Maps uses a geographic layer that splits census tracts that go across the boundaries of a city or another census-defined place. It splits them down the line of the boundary for the place. So that's another difference you may notice. Next slide, please. The solution to this issue is just to compare boundaries and adjust. So the first step is just to take a look and see how much census boundaries have changed, because in most cases the change between 2000 and 2010 census boundaries is pretty minor. We've included links on this slide where you can download year 2000 census GIS files and GIS files for the year 2010. If you don't have GIS capability, you can often still find maps of census tracts for your project area through various local and state sources. I found a couple for grantees using the web, but there's not really a centralized source of non-GIS files for current and previous census geographies that I'm aware of. If you're having a hard time finding one, you can contact the help desk at OSHC Help at icfi.com and ask us, and we'll do our best to help you track one down. Once you've compared geographies, if the differences are minor, as they are in most cases, you can pretty much disregard the differences between the 2000 and 2010 geographies and go forward selecting the geographies that align with your project area using CPD Maps. If the differences are major, you may need to ask your GTR for a waiver. So far, we haven't heard of anyone needing to ask their GTR for a waiver on this. Another solution that a lot of grantees a couple grantees have used that I mistakenly omitted from this slide, is that you can also use you can go back and take a look at your project area and look at what the definition of it is using 2000 census boundaries. And that'll get you boundaries that are consistent with what you see in CPD Maps. Again, if you need assistance with this, we're always available through the Help Desk. Next slide. The next question we've gotten from grantees comes from a lot of grantees with project areas that consist of multiple geographies. Grantees have asked if they can select their geographies by name or number, for instance, entering census tract numbers or giving CPD Maps a list of counties, rather than pointing and clicking, as I've described in the walkthroughs when downloading reports for Indicator 2.1. The answer to that question is, unfortunately, no. You can't just enter a list of geographies and have CPD Maps pull up a report for you. But there is a more efficient way to do the pointing and clicking through CPD Maps to select multiple geographies at once. Next slide. The solution is to use the square, circle, or polygon tools to select geographies. You can see that I've highlighted those in orange where they appear in the reports window when you click on the reports button to download the report with the data that you need for Indicator 2.1. In this example, I'm going to use the square tool. Next slide, please. You see in this slide that I've actually dragged and made a rectangle across a project area. Next slide. Once I release my mouse button, this is what I saw. I got 7 census tracts that were highlighted for my project area. Next slide. Now, let's say that I made a mistake when I created that rectangle, and I didn't mean to include this large census tract at the far left that I've denoted with a red X. I can remove that. The reports window will pop back up automatically once I make my selection. If I select Remove from Selection, which I've highlighted in orange, and then select the Draw Point tool, and I just click in that large spreadsheet, in that large tract that is not part of my project area. In the next slide, you'll see that the selection has been adjusted accordingly, and now I only have 6 census tracts highlighted, and that large one that was previously highlighted is no longer highlighted. Next slide. We're on FAQs about tools, H+TA index. I'm going to pause for a bit and make sure that the slides are catching up.
Elliot, we do have one question here.
Oh, great.
Some folks were wondering about the updated fact sheets. They had heard you mention that. Can you just repeat where you would find those fact sheets and what number we're on, what version we're on?
Thanks, Jean. Yeah, we're on version 1.2, and the fact sheets, updated fact sheets, are available on the Sustainable Communities Learning Network. Note that you will need to be logged into the network to view the fact sheets. And I'm double checking when Harrison made his presentation earlier in slide 11, he included a link to the page that pulls up all the resources that are available related to these indicators through the Sustainable Communities Learning Network, including those new fact sheets, version 1.2. Any other questions before I move on?
Nothing else that I see.
Great, thank you. So now we're on FAQs about tool H+TA index. The housing and H+TA stands for Housing plus Transportation Affordability. This is a website that's maintained by the Center for Neighborhood Technology, or CNT. It's a source of data on combined housing and transportation affordability that's used in Indicator 3.1. Like CPD Maps, it uses 2000 census geography. So if you see that the outlines of block groups or of places don't quite match with what you have when you click on them, that may be because there's that change in geography that I've referred to. And again, you can compare geographies, as I mentioned previously, with CPD Maps to figure out how big of a discrepancy there is and adjust your approach accordingly. Next slide. The first question that we often get is, can I just download housing and transportation affordability index data? This question particularly comes from regional planning grantees with large project areas who often have too many individual low, moderate income census blocks in their project area to select individual data for those areas by just pointing and clicking on the many hundreds or even thousands of low, moderate income block groups that are in their project area. And the same is often true for community challenge grantees that have over 5 low-income tracts in their project area. You can download housing and transportation affordability data from the CNT, but in the past, CNT has made this data only available for a fee. So we typically only recommending contacting CNT and purchasing that data from them if you see other opportunities for extensive use of this data. If that's not the case, and if pointing and clicking is going to be too labor-intensive to collect data for your project area, you can ask your GTR for a waiver. If you have questions about whether you should be asking for a waiver, of course, you can always contact us at OSHC Help at icfi.com. Note that HUD is working with the Center for Neighborhood Technology to update this website. The update should be out, I believe, toward the end of next year, or toward the end of this year, or toward the beginning of next year. And so once this update of the website is complete, data may be more readily available. We're not quite sure what that update will entail yet. Next slide. Another question is, how do I get housing and transportation affordability data for my project area? When you click on the map and the tool to get data, you see data at the block group, region, and sometimes the place, either a city or county level. But regional planning grantees and grantees in rural areas are often using different geographies, particularly at the county level. And so what do you do in this case? Well, next slide. There are ways to make sure that you're viewing the data for the geography that you want in the Housing and Transportation Affordability Index. It requires a few more clicks, but it's not super complicated. So the first thing to do is just to change the map view. I've highlighted the box where you do that in the upper right corner of this slide, and you change it so that you're viewing one map at a time instead of 2 maps. Next slide. We're on make sure you're viewing H+TA data. Once you've changed the map view, the screen will look like this. You'll see only one map window and some information on the left-hand side of the screen. You want to click the drop-down menu at the top of the screen, at the top of the left-hand side of the screen, which I've highlighted in orange, and make sure it's on Housing plus Transportation Cost percent income. Next slide. Next step is to change the focus. If you scroll down in that window with information on the left, you'll see a drop-down menu labeled Focus. If you click on it, you can choose the geographic level at which you're collecting data. Next slide. Once you've selected the focus area, another drop-down menu will appear that lists your options within the map for selecting different geographies. So for instance, here I've selected county, and then a drop-down menu pops up listing the counties that are available on the map. I would select the county that I'm interested in. Next slide. You can see on this slide, it's labeled Take Down the Average, that I've selected Cook County, Illinois. And then below that, it will show the average housing and transportation costs as a percent of income. I've highlighted that in orange because it doesn't quite jump out at you the way the data is displayed. But you'll see average. That should be a number between 0 and 100. It's a percentage. And you just take down that average for your geography, and that's how you get this data at all different geographic levels, even if it doesn't pop up on the map. Again, if you're working with more than one geography, you may need to take a weighted average by the number of households, as we describe in the fact sheets. Next slide. Another common question we get from grantees is, what if housing and transportation affordability data for my project area is incomplete? And you can see in the picture on this slide that there's an example of that from Stark County, North Dakota, where the Center for Neighborhood Technology has only collected data in metropolitan areas. And this is a county that only has a few metropolitan areas, so you only see data for a few areas that are highlighted in blue and yellow, and the rest are gray. This is often the case with grantees working in rural areas. If no data is available, the entire county or geography that you select will be in gray. And if that's the case for your entire project area, you should ask your GTR for a waiver on this. But if any data is available for this project area, for your project area, we recommend that you report the average as using the steps that we just described, and that you note when reporting on your SF-PPR form that data is not complete for your project area. Next slide. We are on to FAQs about tools, GIS. So GIS stands for Geographic Information Systems. There are it's a mapping software. There are various software packages that are available. It's a tool for analyzing geographic data that's used in Indicators 3.3 and 5.1. Indicator 3.3 may also require Network Analyst, which is an additional extension for GIS with a separate license. However, after hearing from many grantees that have GIS but not the Network Analyst extension, we identified a workaround so that those grantees can still calculate Indicator 3.3. Next slide. What we've been hearing is that some grantees, often grantees working in rural areas, do not have access to GIS. These grantees should ask their GTRs for a waiver on Indicators 3.3 and 5.1. And if you do have GIS, but you have questions about how to use it to calculate these indicators, one of the things that we've created in the new that we've updated in the new fact sheets are we've included detailed instructions that walk you through using GIS to calculate Indicators 3.3 and 5.1. So those should serve as a more detailed walkthrough to using GIS for those indicators. And of course, if you have any questions, please contact us at OSHC Help at ICFI.com. We have technical support staff in GIS that are available to help grantees with questions that are down in the weeds of GIS. Next slide. We're on FAQs about tools, NLCD dataset. NLCD stands for the National Land Cover Database. It's maintained by a consortium of federal agencies and updated every 5 years. It contains land cover data for the entire United States, and it's used in Indicator 5.1. Note that we do actually recommend that grantees use local data for Indicator 5.1 if that's available. But if not, the NLCD data is available for the entire nation. Next slide, please. So one of the questions that we hear from grantees is, what base and current year should I use? Indicator 5.1 requires both data from the NLCD and population data. Now currently, the NLCD is only available for 2001 and 2006. They haven't completed the 2011 update yet. So grantees should use population data that's consistent with those 2 years. Unfortunately, there's no census data available specifically for the year 2001, but since there is census data available for 2000, we recommend using that as the population data for the base year, and for the current year using data from the 2006 American Community Survey. These data are available through American Fact Finder, the census's which is the website through which the census makes its data available. Next slide. Another common question from grantees using the NLCD is, why won't the NLCD data load? Several grantees have noticed issues with this data. There's technical issues with the data, and we've updated the fact we've created separate, after hearing this from a number of grantees, we created separate sheet of technical guidance for loading this data and calculating indicator 5.1. That's available as a standalone document on the SCLM project resources site, which is linked to here. But we've also incorporated this update into the updated fact sheets. Again, you can contact us at OHSC Help at icfi.com if you have any questions. Next slide. With that, we're going to pause and see if we have any questions on the presentation I just gave about frequently asked questions from grantees.
Chester and Janine, I don't see anything coming through in my inbox. Do you have any questions?
None here.
Great. Well,
no questions here either.
Thanks, everyone. I guess that's reassuring to hear that the presentation has been clear, but we know that these are complex. These are complex indicators to work with, and that there can be a lot of issues that come up for grantees. So, please, if you run into questions down the line, don't hesitate to contact us. Again, here's the email address in this slide.
So let's go ahead with the final section then.
Great. So with that, next slide, please. We're on to the last portion of our presentation today, which is actually, once you calculate all these indicators, how to report them using form SF-PPR-A. We received a couple questions from grantees about how to report these indicators, and looking through the early results that came in, some of the reporting was a little inconsistent because we didn't issue clear instructions. So one of the things that we've really been focused on updating in the new fact sheets is including clear guidance on how to report these indicators so that we're getting consistent information from each grantee, and that'll also make it easier for us to circle back and offer grantees assistance if we have any questions about how data was reported on a given indicator. Next slide. So what information is required on the SF-PPR-A? We ask you to report results, either results or waivers for all flagship sustainability indicators. Again, reporting for these indicators is required for all FY11 Sustainable Communities grantees. And detailed instructions and guidance on calculating and also reporting these indicators are available through the Sustainable Communities Learning Network, which you can link to through the link on this slide. Next slide, please. We're looking at example of a completed SF-PPR-A. This example is included in the spreadsheet. I'm not going to walk through it in a lot of depth right now. I'm going to hold off till the coming slides, but I just wanted to alert you to the fact that one of the things that we've included in the new fact sheets is a sample completed SF-PPR-A for you to base your reporting on. Next slide, please. Should still be looking at the example of the completed SF-PPR-A, but with a few additional red boxes. A couple of issues that I wanted to flag, which I've highlighted in red, are the following. First of all, for most of the flagship sustainability indicators, you're only going to report one result. However, for 3 indicators, those are 2.1, 3.1, and 3.3, you report 2 separate values. Sometimes with grantees forms coming in, it hasn't been clear sometimes grantees have reported a single value for these indicators, and it hasn't been clear which of the two values they're referring to. So if you note in this example, you'll see how we recommend reporting those results, either distinguishing them by rental versus owner for indicator 2.1, or for all, your entire project area, or low moderate income block groups as for indicators 3.1 and 3.3. Another thing I've highlighted is that for indicators 3.2 and 3.3, you calculate those indicators slightly differently based on whether you're in an urban or a rural area. So we ask that you use the explanation column to just let us know whether your project area is urban, rural, or there's also an option for mixed, so that we can better understand what threshold to use. Finally, if you have requested a waiver, as the grantee in this sample form has done for indicator 5.1, we ask that you use the explanation column to report that you've either requested or been granted a waiver, and include the date on which that waiver was requested or granted. In the baseline column where you report results for each indicator, if you've requested a waiver, you'll just put NA for that indicator, as this grantee has done for indicator 5.1. Next slide, please. So I'm now going to walk through column by column instructions for each of the columns through which you report data on the SF-PPR-A form. For column 1, you enter the indicator number as it's referred to on the fact sheets. Note that the first 3 rows are automatically filled with A-01, A-02, and A-03, and you can't change those. But for the subsequent rows, beginning with indicator 3.2, please do enter the indicator number. In column 2, objective/goal description, enter the sustainability outcome that's associated with the indicator. That's going to be transportation choice, housing affordability, equitable development, economic resistance, or growth through reinvestment. In column 3, which is labeled measure, please enter the brief descriptive name for the indicator following the example in the fact sheet. If you look at the sample fact sheet, just please duplicate what we filled out there just to better help us understand what you're reporting on. In column 4, baseline, is where you enter your results for the indicator. You report 2 values for indicators 2.1, 3.1, and 3.3, and you enter N/A, not applicable, if you have asked for or been granted a waiver. Next slide. In columns 5 through 7, you only have to establish targets for each indicator if your organization makes a policy decision to do that. Otherwise, you can simply enter N/A if you're not setting targets in columns 5 through 7. Finally, in column 8, explanation, we ask you to enter additional information for each indicator. This includes whether a waiver has been requested or granted, and the date that you requested or were granted it. Whether you used an urban, rural, or a mixed urban-rural threshold for indicators 3.2 and 3.3. Any additional information about data sources and calculations, if you think that there's a better data source out there, or you use locally available data instead of the data that we recommended, this is the place to inform us of that. It helps us. It's helpful to us in looking at how we might update these indicators in the future, and also in reaching out to you if we do have any questions. We'll be sure that we know what data that you use. Otherwise, if you don't have any additional information to report, you may just leave column 8 blank. Next slide. We're on example, housing affordability. So I'm just going to walk through a couple examples of reporting of how we recommend that you report a few key indicators. For indicator 2.1, housing affordability, which is the percentage of housing units affordable to households earning 80% of HUD's area median family income by owner and renter occupied units, we request that you report 2 measures, one for renters and one for owner-occupied household. And you'll see how we've recommended you do that in the example where you just say renters, and then you have a percentage, and then you say owners, and you have a separate percentage for that. Next slide. We're on example equitable development. For indicator 3.1, the percent of this is a typo on this slide. I apologize. This should be indicator 3.3, which is the percentage of the population that resides within a 1/2 mile urban or 1 mile for rural areas distance from a park or open space. So first, you'll need to, when calculating this, determine if your project area is urban, rural, or mixed. And there are 2 measures that you're required to report on. One for the entire project planning area population, and one for the portion of the project area where over 50% households are low to moderate income households. And you'll see in the baseline column, we have separate percentages with all, and then L-M or low mod area, and each reporting a separate percentage. Also, in the explanation column, you'll see that this grantee in our example has indicated that they use the threshold for urban areas. Again, that helps us, that's very useful to us in helping us track reporting of the baselines for these indicators. Furthermore, some grantees occasionally run into a case where we ask a grantee, or we direct a grantee just to seek a waiver on one of the 2 measures that's reported for this indicator. So in this example, sometimes we would direct a grantee to please report the result for the entire project area, but ask for a waiver on the low mod portion of it. If that happened, if that were the case, then we would ask you just to enter N/A for the low mod area percentage. And also to indicate that you had requested a waiver on the low mod portion of this indicator in the explanation column. Next slide. So we're on example waiver. Assuming, say, for indicator 4.2, general local government debt to revenue ratio, that you requested a waiver because data was not available for your project area, you would enter N/A in the baseline column, and then in the explanation column, you would enter waiver requested and the date. Next slide. With that, let's pause and see if we have any questions on this portion of the presentation.
Yeah, Elliot, we do have one question came in from Shelley. Do we have to report on every flagship indicator? Can you give a recap of which ones that are more likely to have waivers or not?
Yeah, so we do ask grantees to report on all flagship indicators, or if they're not reporting on an indicator, to seek a waiver from their GTRs. So please do report on all indicators for which data is available. If data is not available for your project area, you can contact the Help Desk team, and we may be able to assist you in finding data. And if we're not able to find available data, we will recommend we'll recommend that you seek a waiver for your GTR, and we're happy to also email your GTR on your behalf and let them know that we've made that recommendation. There are a couple cases where we do commonly recommend that grantees seek waivers. For indicator 3.1 on the low moderate portion of that indicator, we've directed a lot of regional planning grantees to seek a waiver there because their project areas are just simply too large for them to point and click on each block group within their area. For indicator 3.3, which is access to parks and open spaces, this indicator requires GIS, and it requires a GIS layer of local parks and open spaces. So if your organization doesn't have GIS capability, or if you do have GIS capability, but that a single layer with all parks and open spaces is not available. This is often the case at the state or regional level because individual counties or cities have that information, but they haven't combined it all to a single consistently formatted layer. That's another situation where we commonly ask grantees to ask for waivers. Finally, Indicator 5.1 also requires GIS. So if you do not have GIS capability, we commonly do direct grantees to seek a waiver on Indicator 5.1. Are there other questions?
I don't see anything in the inbox. Janine and Pat, please let us know if you see any. Otherwise, let's close out with a reminder that number one, this will be archived, and you'll get an email from HUD when that is online and posted shortly in the next few days. Number two, the updated fact sheets are available on the website. Slightly too long to read out, but it was, I think, on slide 11 if you're looking at the PowerPoint later. And let's make sure, folks at HUD, that when the email goes out that we repeat that website. Most of you familiar with Learning Network already will be able to find that online. Anything else we want to close out with, Elliot?
I think that covers it. Maybe just to encourage grantees one more time, do please contact us. It really helps us. It really helps us offer assistance to other grantees and know what's happening on the ground with these. So please, if you do have any questions, do contact us.
Thank you very much. I want to thank you all on behalf of HUD for tuning in today. And please get in touch with us on the help desk if you have any questions at all.